All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. We're convening here for our Manufacturing Technology Working Group. This is our 5th meeting that we have this afternoon. We have about 20 participants on the line. So week bi-weekly, we have had we're maintaining great attendance and participation. So thank you for being here today. Our agenda this afternoon, it's still morning, it's 11 o'clock, is for us to have any announcements and/or roundtable from either our co-leads here as well as anyone really on the call. October, it has been manufacturing month, and so I know that there is a lot that has been going around in our communities. So thank you to everyone who has hosted any events, opened your doors, promoted on your social media platforms. The return on investment for that time hopefully will be fulfilled. So we'll take a pause for that. We also have a provider spotlight on CCIC by Dr. Hisham Al-Najjar. I apologize, Al-Najjar. Then following, we will break out into our work streams. Again, they're listed there. So as we have been doing for the past couple of convening meetings, we're going to be having some working sessions. And I believe the VSM may be kept in the main room as we did last week. Otherwise, we may have a surprise, and one of our other breakout sessions will be continuing on the live stream. So with that, I'll take a pause to B or Ron, Senator Hartley, if there's any pressing information that you'd like for the team to be made aware of, or really anyone else in the community. If you want to use the chat feature or raise your hand, we could take just a couple of minutes to go through any roundtable.
I'll jump in there. I just wanted to, just say briefly for this call, I think you've seen some of the press out there. A big public-private partnership was announced just yesterday. It wasn't announced, it was kind of unveiled finally. State of Connecticut, obviously DECD was instrumental, as was the Manufacturing Innovation Fund. And this is around the Composite Center, Advanced Technology, Composite Technology Center. So we just want to make sure you guys are all aware of that. You take a look at it and the way it was designed. Pratt & Whitney, obviously instrumental in this. It is really a marvel of industry 4.0 technology. So it would be something that would be interesting for the group to see. There's an excellent video that can be shared, and anybody can use the video. It was produced by Pratt & Whitney, but can really be utilized across any industry segment. So I urge you guys to take a look at that. And anyway, we're wrapping up manufacturing month. It's been a lot of great stuff. So anyway, that's all for me.
Well, in that line, I just want to remind people that on Friday, we had the Made in Connecticut 2021 in Trumbull as part of the affiliation with Ready City, ComStat, and CBIA. And we have great speakers, and the annual report in manufacturing, which is the 21 Connecticut Manufacturing Report, will be released that day. So make sure that you either attend, hopefully in person. If not, it will be streamed. So that's something that brings us all together and gives us great information about our industry. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to let you all know, I know some of you are already registered, but tomorrow we're having our Manufacturing Day event at Wepco Plastics in Middlefield, Connecticut. So there's a couple tours during the day, and then there's a happy hour from 4 to 6. So hopefully, if you can make it, you will. There's a free keychain in it for you. Maybe we'll open up the dance floor. We'll see how it goes, but hope you can all make it. Yeah.
Great. We'll be sure to drop some of those links to register and get more information in the chat box. You probably have already seen that across various different digital and/or email channels. So I'll take action to do that if no one else does that. And I see, Jeff, you have your hand, so I don't know if you have anything following.
I just wanted to introduce Carissa Roman. Carissa is part of our team and will be helping coordinate the cataloging of the Industry 4.0 state and federally funded service providers. Carissa is on the road right now, so probably only listening in, but we want to welcome her. And she will join the outreach group when we break out, just as the best place to go right now. So welcome, Carissa.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. And echoing the welcome and thank you in advance for your participation and leadership, Carissa. We very much appreciate you joining our team. So as part of announcements, we have proposed this schedule and we have made some corrections. You'll see highlighted that we have some updates. So for this meeting, we have CCIC presenting, and that will be following these remarks here. Next session, we'll have Dr. Premier Alpay present on the Yukon Tech Park. So hopefully, sir, that is agreeable with your schedule. If not, please just let us know. Because of the holidays for both Thanksgiving and Christmas, which are coming up so soon, we've proposed that we hold back-to-back meeting sessions on November 17th and December 15th. So those are not currently holding on your calendars, but either Corliss or Ginger will send those out to you. Those are currently open. So as we, in quick, short order, we might be able to get another spotlight if these are our key members of our i4.0 service providers. But that being said, we may have some special guests lined up, so stay tuned. Otherwise, they will remain open and we'll just continue on with our business as usual working sessions. December 8th, we will have two presentations. So we'll have Karen Birch presenting on the NSF National Center for Next Gen Manufacturing as part of the Connecticut State College and University System. As well, Catherine Marks from SBA will also be highlighted. And then we'll hit the new year, which is absolutely crazy to think about. But again, if you have any issues with these dates, please let Jeff know so that way we could arrange accordingly. So with that, I will turn it over to Hisham to present on CCIC.
Thank you, Jackie. Good morning, everyone. It's still 11 a.m. And thank you for this opportunity. I'll try to stay with the format of one slide, but I have one slide here show the members of the CCIC. As you see, they are all private universities, and that's our consortium. When I'm speaking today about the University of Hartford in specific, most of what I'm about to say or explain will apply to all members. There is a meeting coming soon for the members. I will get more information from them when we meet, I believe like in a week or so. And if I find something really unique that needed for this group, I will bring it forward. Next slide, please. So again, I try to stay with one slide, which is really hard to stay with one slide, but I try to jam in the information and follow the format. The University of Hartford is, again, private university, College of Engineering, Technology, and Architecture. We are a small university, small college. Our total number of students is 800 students. So really, our focus is undergraduate teaching, less graduate. We want to make sure the graduates we are putting out undergraduate are up to date and meeting the expectations of the industry. You could say, well, if you are teaching, what do faculty do? Faculty do continue to maintain their active professional activities through research, publications, and consultation, and working with the local industry. Our hands-on project-based approach to teaching has been working for us very well because of our small classes. Our classes do not exceed 20 students, regardless, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, whatever it is, do not exceed 20 students. In fact, we have many classes for first and second year students, about 15 to 18. So faculty can work on students, work with them on team and projects. We do that all the time. Something unique about the CCIC member compared to public universities, 61% of our students stay in Connecticut. which is very unique, very unusual. You can look it up and how many of them stay and graduate and stay here, even though some of them are not from Connecticut. They come and stay in Connecticut. So what we do, I focus again on the same format, education. That's our job, talent provider. We have programs, that's University of Hartford specific, in engineering, technology, and computer science. On the left side, you see those programs in engineering that are relevant to what we are talking about, Industry 4.0. In computer engineering, electrical engineering, robotics. I see now UConn has a new program in robotics too, so we have a program. Computer science and engineering, mechanical, and we have the only program in the state in aerospace engineering, started this year. We also have under the engineering technology programs, those are more the hands-on program, focus on operation rather than design. Electromechanical engineering technology and computer and electronics engineering technology. Again, this is our focus, education in different program. In training, we do a lot of training, especially to some large company like Pratt & Whitney. We are their provider for manufacturing metrology. We have very unique lab, one of a kind, and you can see here, Lieutenant Governor came and actually opened the center. So in manufacturing metrology, we do metrology graduate certificate, and we do non-credit short courses. We just did one about 3-4 weeks ago. We had 50 something, but typically they are small, 10 to 15 in the lab, but the short credit courses, they tend to be larger and tend to be worldwide. So Pratt has been bringing, Pratt & Whitney bringing engineers from all over to attend those workshops, and we have been working with them closely on that one, and our lab is really state of the art. We are working on an Industry 4.0 certificate. It's coming soon. I'm going to jump here a little bit to innovation. I'll come back to consulting. Part of what we are doing, again, this is University of Hartford, but all members, we are looking at what's Industry 4.0. What do we need to train our students on? We are focusing mostly on automation, robotics, IoT, and cybersecurity. So robotics, we just established about 2 years ago, and we now built a new lab and updated it in robotics, state-of-the-art robotics lab to train our students on all type of robotics. We are getting actually 2 new industrial robots from a local, not a local, it's international company, but it's Connecticut company giving us 2 industrial robots to use. We are building right now an automation lab. We are not buying, off-the-shelf equipment and putting it in. We are working with again, international company, but happen to be from Connecticut, and one member, the president of that company is here on the call with us on building a new automation lab. Using in automation lab, we are using really what industry use, sensors and all type of control equipment from Rockwell, Allen Bradley, Automation Direct. We want our students to know when they graduate, this is what they should know, what industry uses. We focus on that a lot rather than just getting something off the shelf and provided. The automation lab, we are building the first unit, and it will be ready by January. We are building it. IoT, we built a new lab with the help from a company in Connecticut. They are our partner in the IoT, building this new lab, expanding it. It will be ready by January. This is part of our new building that we just opened. The same thing with cybersecurity. We are building a new lab. It will be ready in January. So this is what we believe. That's why I said Industry 4.0 certificate is coming. When those 4 labs are done in automation and control, and with the latest technology, with the latest gadgets, if you will, that we teach to our students, we believe that we can offer a certificate. We have computer science and engineering programs also. So our students know coding, they know the hardware, and they know the software. When we talk about cybersecurity, we are trying to emphasize physical cybersecurity, not just the coding, really how you deal hardware and software, how can you design with the cybersecurity in mind, part of the innovation. So our faculty are involved in the all type of activities and research in this area. And at the same time, we are talking to the industry. What are your needs? As you know, it's a educational institution. Sometimes we come up with our own ideas. We sing our own song. So we try to make sure that the song we are singing is really related to the industry. So our students graduate, and it shows. Our students graduate, almost 100% get job immediately by the time they graduate. Consulting, we do have, I'm going back to the third item here, consulting. To help the industry, local industry, we have an active group of faculty in different areas: manufacturing metrology, robotics, automation, acoustics, turbo machinery, multidisciplinary modeling, working with different industry on a small scale. You come in, we sign non-disclosure agreement, we agreed on what you want, and that's yours. We do not have the right to it. We never publish an article. We have been doing this for about 20 or 30 years. We have several partners. They have been with us for a long time, and we do a lot of work for them. They get the report, it's theirs, it's not ours. We faculty from the beginning signed this non-disclosure agreement that they cannot publish, they cannot claim, they cannot do anything before they talk to any potential customers. The manufacturing metrology, which I talked about it, you know, if you want to know a little bit more around it, about it, I would be happy to provide you more information. It's surface characterization, a vision system, microscopy, layout, light scanner, CMM, all those tools we have, and we have been working around with different companies. Again, I'm going to repeat here, part of what I do and what we all do as university and membership, and I'm sure other universities do that, is industrial partners, working with partners on different levels, connecting them. We have, some here are on this call are our partners we work with, we connect with, we do a lot of work with. So this is in a nutshell. With the time I'm given, 5 to 10 minutes, is one members of the CCIC providing the talent for you that's really ready, hands-on, ready to be hired. One thing we emphasize to our students, because we are a small class, we work with them, each one individually. That's part of the advising and part of our continuous career ready. What are you providing if somebody interviews? Not I have a degree in whatever, nobody cares. What's your added value? What are you trying to provide to the company? We make sure they know what they are talking about. We make sure that, oh, I have a degree in electrical engineering, but I know robotics. I have done this, and your company, I have done the latest technology in this area. I'm trained to use those sensors or those tools. This is really, really important for us as a small university, which is really tough to do for large university, but we do it because we are small, 15 to 20 students, and all our members are follow the same guidelines, work with their students. Not to take away from big university, whatever, but it's a different mission, different focus, and that's what we do as a university working with partners. I'll be happy to answer any question. Jeff told me 5 to 10 minutes. I'm trying to stick to it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We could monitor the participants or chat. So if you have any questions, you may raise your hand. Or if there's not high traffic volume, we could just have folks unmute.
Jackie,
Yes.
it's Eric, and I apologize. My my front-facing camera doesn't seem to be working, so my apologies for that. Appreciate it, the presentation. Just wondering if you can expound a little bit about to what extent you have direct, inquiries or interactions with businesses. I know you mentioned on a previous meeting that if there's a company in the area that has some technology needs, they should give you guys or whatever colleges in their area a call. Do you get many of those calls, or do you do anything proactively to reach out? Or tell us about your interaction with the private sector, if you could.
That's a very good question. I think we mostly get calls from what people know about us and what we do. We do very little in outreach in this area, which is maybe I'm gonna do it. We had the director for the Engineering Application Center basically visit with companies and offer our services and what we do. Probably we have to do more of that, but we receive calls all the time. Somebody needs something quick and they don't want to go through the application and going through the centers. We do not go. When a company calls and they need some help, they come to me basically. I bring the right faculty and say, okay, here what it is. There is a company, let's sign the NDA and start having the conversation. And they might need it fast. So yes, mostly calls from companies who know about us and what we do, but we should do more about reaching out and explaining, or we have, maybe we should update our brochures and send them out to inform people about our area of expertise. Thank you.
Sure, and thank you. And just quick follow-up. So as part of this working group, we might want to think about, when you have an interaction and you're able to help somebody and it's successful, how do I'll just say we, or, we're talking about websites or whatever, but how do we inform the community that kind of success story is out there and resource available. So I'm glad to hear that your phone does ring and you're able to help folks. And so we just need to try and figure out how we can leverage that. Thank you.
Sure, maybe we'll put it our part of NDA that if successful, can we say we work with you? That's something we'll think about, but we cannot say what it is, but can we say we worked with you and just claim credit for doing so? Thank you.
Great. I know here at CCAT, Nasir Manin, our principal engineer, has worked with the metrology facility and the students there. So there's a good conduit and a flow. If not CCAT, then how can we partner with UHeart? But absolutely, I agree that the charter of this working group, as we break out into our work streams, outreach and resources are two of them. There's synergies. How do we get the messaging out? How can we leverage digital and social platforms to bring awareness and attention to the resources that we have, both in the private sector as well as our academic institutions? So thank you very much, Dr. Al-Najjar, for your time in presenting on behalf of CCIC and focusing on University of Hartford. I will share that the meeting that you had mentioned, Jennifer Widness, the president of CCIC, had reached out to Jeff and myself and asked if we can present to all of the engineering deans in this membership. So we have that on the books for November 12th and look forward to adding to this collection of these profiles from the other institutions. So certainly a lot more to come across the CCIC space. So thank you again so much. In real time, we've adjusted our calendar just a bit. So November 10th will now be an open session, as Dr. Alpay has indicated that there's an Air Force meeting that's happening at UConn, and we'll push him to November 17th. So the calendar still holds. We will be getting those new meeting invites out to you very shortly, but please just do keep that on your radar. So at this time, I think I'll pause to see if there's any other discussion or messaging that anyone wants to have across this team before then we break out into our work stream breakout sessions. I will share that we will not bring the collective back together. So once your work stream wraps up just before noon, so we have about 30 minutes together, we will just disperse and be on our way and then meet back up again in 2 weeks' time. Okay, well, hearing none, I think we are ready to break out into our respective sessions. So thank you so much, and we'll see you on the other side.
Hey, Jackie, I don't have the little toggle to get to the breakout.
Ginger should be dispersing us. So I think we might be holding firm, but I agree that I don't see that as a button as well. So let's just stand by.
Jackie, can you check if you see it now?
I don't. Are some people
Not
already?
yet.
I don't see it either. It's Karen. I don't see it either.
Nope.
Some people in the breakout already?
I think it just happened. Maybe. Maybe
There
not.
we go.
Just
I
bear
got it.
with me a moment, okay?
I see it.
Okay, so it looks like we're all back together, Ginger.
Working on it now.
Okay.
I think we're all on the value stream mapping team today. It's the cool group anyway. I'm just saying.
I was gonna say, sounds good to me. Hi, Kathy.
Hey, Frank.
Kathy, you've been down to visit your grandchildren lately?
I was down about a month ago helping to pick out Tyrannosaurus Rex Halloween costume for my little 3-year-old granddaughter, and trying to figure out when I can get down again. But it's just a crazy busy time of year, everything kind of wrapping up for the holidays. Also
Yeah.
dealing with some very scary supply chain issues. So, just truly terrifying. I don't know if Mike Rocheleau is still on here, but he's been kind of coaching me through this. I've never been through anything like this before, where you're literally not sure if next month you're going to be shut down. And in my case, shut down thousands of other people not have anything to do because we make tools that they use to produce parts. So it's a crazy time. I thought getting through COVID was going to be a big deal, but this is the real big deal.
Excuse me, Kathy, I'm trying to, Ginger, we did have some people go to the breakout room. So I think most of the people we want are in the main stage. So can you cancel the VSM breakout room and bring Charles and Pamir and Hashim back?
Just 1 second.
Yeah. And
Kathy, I have a Tyrannosaurus Rex, also 4-year-old little boy costume, so we can compare notes next week. And it is absolutely terrifying right now.
Is it the blow up one?
It is not the blow up one. It's the it's like a kind of like Dinosaur Rock. It's a little orange guy. He's got a little egg. He's got the fangs. It's kind of adorable.
I love it.
And then I have a 3-year-old pumpkin as well.
Oh God, that's great.
Pumpkins are safe bets.
And
then Karen, oops, we seem to be moving around. I've lost my list of participants.
Charles is here.
And Hashim.
Where's
okay.
Peter?
Oh, and did Karen move on? It looks like Karen may have. Okay, so that's good. Actually, I think we're getting close to where we want to be. So I'm going to start. Frank, you can hear us?
Yes, I hear you fine. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. I'm going to go through really quickly. We've got about 25 minutes. So just so we get as much out of that as we can. I just want to quickly catch us up on where we are. So this was a summary I sent out on Friday that covered the Wednesday and Thursday calls we had. Just a reminder of our group, Constep is leading and the team members. Our goal is the VSM work stream, which is looking at the value stream mapping or other analysis of the service providers and how they service the manufacturers. We talked a lot about analysis tools last week, and I think focused in on value stream mapping as still being the most relevant for what we need to accomplish, which is really capturing the processes that the small and medium-sized manufacturers follow to utilize the service providers. And then just a quick update on scope, and we'll talk a little bit more. I'll come back to this in a moment, but we'll talk a little bit more of it. Our current state is that the customers are the small and medium-sized manufacturers, and the suppliers are the state and federally funded providers of Industry 4.0 services. And we can approach non-funded ones as necessary as they come along in the value stream. And then what we wanted to capture today, and the assignment I gave, and thanks Kala for kind of encouraging this, the assignment I gave on Friday is that we wanted the SMM to think about their expectations and definitions of value with regards to the service providers. And from that, I will hand it off to Frank to help lead us in that conversation.
Sure. So good morning, everyone.
And actually, Frank, I'm not sure everybody got a chance to meet you, so why don't you do a quick introduction?
Sure. So my name is Frank Murphy. I'm a continuous improvement consultant with Constep. My background, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade and spent about half my career in value stream management and plant management in the automotive and aerospace industry, and the earlier half of my career in manufacturing and design engineering. So the continuous improvement portion of our work is my specialty for the most part. So I'm going to be helping Jeff with facilitating some of these discussions. I believe we're starting today by having a little discussion about what is always the classical starting point for value stream mapping analysis, which is a discussion on the customer. I know Jeff had a slide up here just a moment ago. I don't know, Jeff, if you can jump back to slide 6 real quickly here. My little sketch of a sample value stream map.
Oh, sorry.
So this is as simplified a version of a value stream map as you can get. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with the discipline of value stream mapping, but the purpose of it is to try to take an aerial view of a process and the means by which that process adds value to a product or service. There's a book out there, if any of you are interested in brushing up on this. It's called Learning to See. It was authored by an MIT professor back in the 90s and revamped in the early 2000s. But essentially, our goal in taking that aerial view is to figure out areas where waste can be removed and where flow can be improved. And that's relevant whether we're talking about material flow or information flow. In this case, I'd say we're talking about a service, and we're talking about the flow of information through to a customer. So starting point is always the customer. You know, for those of you, I know, Kathy, you and I have done this in great depth and with your facility, but the starting point is always a conversation about the customer and the customer's expectations and how the customer's voice defines value. So I thought I'd start with a brief conversation around how, in this case, we define value for our customer. And I'll turn this over as an open forum discussion for anyone who'd like to. And by the way, the reason we talk about that value is because that's the means by which we determine what percentage of our work is adding value and what percentage is not adding value. So Edwards Deming observed that in most cases, less than 5% of the lead time for any particular service or product is value added. And I did have a customer years ago who debated me for some time on that, and he was correct. It was only 4% in that case that was valued. So I suspect we'll probably find something similar. So a little open forum discussion, if we may, with regard to how our customer defines the value we're adding here.
And I would encourage our SMMs to jump in here and give their thoughts on the value they received from these potential service providers, or what they would anticipate that value to be.
So I'll just start off here if I may, because I think I asked the question because I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of this. So full disclosure for everybody. And I remembered back to a comment that Jill had made in one of our initial conversations about the brainstorming and looking at the processes that she had done with various groups. And I tend to think of things as value adding as the doing. I'm comfortable with the thinking. And when I think of a service provider, I need them to be doing the implementation of it. So I've been wrestling with, well, do I need to separate these two and think of a service provider as the consultant that comes in from the 100,000 foot view to look at what's going on, and then from that bring into the implementation side of it. That's very different than when I would typically go to a service provider. So I just want to see if that is kind of on the right track, if anyone has any opinion on that.
Yeah, in my experience in working with Frank, it's both. And so, for us, the first thing was defining, the customer and what we do for them that they really value, and then mapping out the whole entire system from, the minute the order enter, or the request for quote comes, and then all of the different paths that it takes. And then the doing part followed that up, which was picking the first 15% of that value stream map and identifying ways that we could improve that portion of the process and doing that. And then that brought in different tools, like doing a 5S Kaizen to organize all of our tooling, because we were spending too much time wandering around looking for things. And then if you think about that from an Industry 4.0 context, one of our customers is a company called Sencor White, and they build these massive tooling, multi-story high tooling containers where you pop in a number and it comes and delivers that specific tool right to you, which maybe has been defined in the drawing that you're working from. And then it also automatically sends a message if it's at a certain inventory point to purchasing to generate a purchase order for a new one. And also if the tooling is going more quickly than it should, are there some process changes that need to be made to make sure that the tool is being run at the right feeds and speeds and depths and everything to match, or is it the right tool for the material? And that's where the i4.0 piece comes in, where all of these things are happening with artificial intelligence and data as opposed to the guy out in the shop. So it's the thinking that then gets down into the doing, and then what are the i4.0 tools that can improve our utilization of resources and minimize waste.
So correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but there are two types of value that we're talking about in this case, right? One of the types of value is the value provided during implementation, but I would imagine the other source of value for our customers is actually aiding them and connecting them with the resources to do that.
Right.
Am I correct? So when you look at this value stream map, I know this is getting into the technical details here, but you see a little line on the base there. That's what we call a lead time ladder or a castle wall. The top rungs of that row, hopefully you can see my cursor if I click in here, maybe not. The top rungs of that lead time ladder are associated with wait time or delays or non-value added time. And I would say that the bottom rungs, which are usually the smaller percentage of our lead time, the smaller percentage of our effort, are associated with that value added time. So each one of these process steps, as we map this, should look at those things that we do to connect our clients with these service providers, and then also those things that those service providers do, depending on how we scope this value stream, those things that those service providers do once they're engaged with the client. Is that correct?
Yep. I think that's what we're trying to accomplish and define here. Yep.
Okay. So I want to make sure I paraphrase what I've heard so far. So we have value added as connections are made between clients and service providers, and we have value added as Industry 4.0 disciplines are put into place within those clients' facilities. Is that correct? What else? Any other thoughts on how the customer defines value in this?
This is Brian Montanari, and I apologize for traveling last week and not being able to participate in the sessions. But I think what we just talked about is exactly where my head is at. Is that there's two value add here. One is what you talked about, which is the actual service being provided, and the other one is the analysis of what services can be provided to help educate where the customer can go with the services. One of the struggles I've had with this from the beginning is trying to make it easy for the customer. And if our supplier are the funded agencies, we want a company like mine, and the customers want to find it easy to know who to go to. And if what we're doing is providing just a list of service providers to go to, there's a lot of waste in that process. I think we want to try to narrow down and have some sort of filter where the customer can contact somebody, and then that group or that supplier will help identify what the needs are, and then be able to try to go down the process of determining who's the best provider, who's the best supplier to help in that situation. I think we want to take the confusion out of where to go as part of this process.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, I would imagine, and I'm gonna throw something out there, and I'll let you folks kind of chime in on your thoughts. I would imagine the scope of this value stream is starting at the point where the customer has identified a need and ending at the point where those needs have been addressed by the service provider. An alternative to that would be starting at the point where the customer has identified a need and ending at the point where the client is connected with that service provider. That's the smaller of the two scopes.
That's right.
Because quite often it's going to be a different service provider.
Right.
You're not my ERP implementator.
Correct.
The challenge we have with small manufacturers is that a lot of them us don't even really know. You don't know what you don't know. We don't even know that we need something, and that there is something out there that can help us. It's one of the reasons that I got involved years ago with Constep and also with UConn. And I did that through, back then it was the New Haven manufacturers, but because I got out a little bit and realized that I had been living in a very sheltered world, and that there were all kinds of resources out there. So there's another piece to the value stream map to me, which is the PR part, where you get information out there that gets, whether it's through the trade associations or whatever, but that makes the constituents aware that there are things have changed, and that there are resources out there.
Very good. That's a very good point, Kathy. I just want to point that out. That would widen the scope even further. So that would pull us further upstream to the point where our scope includes that early needs awareness step, and how we make it clear that there are needs out there for clients who don't realize there are.
Right. And I would just put a slightly different spin on this is the fees associated with that, right? Like, so that as a small to medium manufacturer, wrapping your head around bringing a consultant in who's going to take up your time, and you're going to have to pay them so that I can educate you about my business, so that you can tell me the best practices of something else that I can Google, and then I can tell you why that won't work in my industry. That's a difficult hurdle to get over for a small business like mine, where, you know, we think we know what we do, but as you said, Kathy, you never know what you don't know until you know it, right? So the financial aspect of that is a big part of it as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, part of this is a little bit of a matchmaking process. You know, an example that I used on our first call was we had a need here. I didn't know where to go. You know, I didn't know which, you know, ultimate service providers to go to. So I picked up, you know, the phone and called who I knew. At the point, you know, I called Ron and at CCAT and said, hey, I've got this opportunity and I'm looking for something where we can improve the process and look at some automation. And then we engaged with CCAT, and CCAT went and came back with a multitude of service providers that we could choose from. That was extremely valuable because it saved my time from having to go find those
Absolutely.
companies. And that's kind of what I think we want to do here, is we want to have a little bit of a matchmaking process up front for the customer, where is it an exploration, or is it an actual need? Or, you know, is it more on the ERP side? Is it more on automation? Is it more on mixed reality? And then utilize that filter, that clearinghouse, to then match up with the right service providers. And to me, that's the value add for the end user, for the customer here, is to not get, you know, is to get to a contact as quickly as possible and eliminate that waste of time in between.
All right, so I'm going to ask for a show of hands. You can either physically raise your hand, or you can use the reaction in Zoom. I think probably physically raising your hand would be fine with this small of a group. All in favor of our scope being from public relations to increase awareness of needs through to implementation of the service. All in favor of that being the scope of our value stream.
Can you just walk me through the public relations aspect of it? Like what specifically of that? I mean, is it like
that's the part that I was talking about, where a lot of us don't know what we don't know. And so in the past, I think for members of SMA or NHMA or ACM, they brought in Concept, CCAT, other groups to do presentations to make us aware of their different capabilities. And we just today had that very interesting, I had no idea all those things were happening at University of Hartford. And so it's that kind of outreach. And we have our new Chief Manufacturing Officer, and my long-term vision of that position is a lot of outreach to smaller manufacturers to kind of get them out of their four walls and see what's available.
So the PR stack is basically educating me, the ultimate customer, that this service exists out there, getting my knowledge base, even of its existence, so that we can do the connection to look at our systems, and then hopefully do the connecting for then the implementation.
Right. And there, you know, like in your situation, just off the top of my head thinking, you know, you make wipes. So if you're thinking about a new product, a new iteration of your product, you might connect with some, you know, research that would help you to find a way to integrate copper, impregnate copper into your wipes. That's an antimicrobial that would add a new dimension to your product that would differentiate you from, and that's what I'm trying to do right now with mine. I'm trying to take a dumb product and find a way to make it a smart product. And so, and that's again where I've reached out to Concept and Yukon, and I'll be talking to CCAT. But a lot of times we're just making what we're making for our customer. We're not thinking about that next generation product. And so if we can expose smaller manufacturers to the need to innovate to the level that our resources allow, I think that's an important thing to put out there.
Charles,
Okay,
do you
my
have?
hand up.
I have a question for the team, and I'm just interested in understanding your thinking. I think it was Brian that used the example of, I went to CCAT and had the conversation, correct? So where does the process start in this context, in this scope? So if we're trying to map this scope of how to get resource in i4.0, where, if we recognize that, like Kathy said, in a lot of cases, the client doesn't know what they don't know, correct? They don't know in this technology. Where does the process start? It starts with, I have a challenge in my manufacturing and I need to solve that. Or is it even before that, I just need to be aware, there is a need to be aware of what's out there, regardless of the problem I'm trying to solve. Because I think there's a difference point of entry for both. In one is, I'm just learning, I'm aware. Another one is, I actually need help with something specific and I'm seeking for that help. So I'm just interested to hear you talk about that. Where do you think this process should start from that perspective?
I just want to augment what B just said. If we use this scope, this wider of the options for the scope, that would encompass both of those scenarios. We enter at the I don't know what I don't know phase, or we enter at the I have a need, I recognize that need, I need a service. So
Brian, Calla, what are you thinking? Like, from your own company, where's the value?
Well, I'm fine with that wide scope of, I like the idea of, I don't know what I don't know, but I've heard about this i4.0 and I think I might have a need, but I have no idea. I like that because I think there's a lot of that out there. But we have to encompass I've got this issue or I've got this opportunity, I want to address it starting now. And I like what Carl put in the chat, and maybe Carl, you can chime in as well. But I think that's the start, from that side of it. The next piece for me, which is just, connect us with the right partner in my area, whether that partner is UConn or University of Hartford or Central or CCAT or Concept, whomever. Connect the end user with that go-to point person, that belly button that can help me. And then help filter. There's all these other service providers out here. You're looking for robotic welding, here's who we can go to. You're looking for ERP, you're looking for HVAC, you're looking for whatever it is, and help bring that to us. The only question I have is where the endpoint is, whether it really is implementation or whether our value stream stops at that introduction, because I think there's another subcommittee that's dealing with the actual service providers that will be connected with who our suppliers are for this value stream. So that's it.
So I want to be respectful of time. We're actually at noon. I don't want to shut down the conversation, but just wanted to point that out. We can continue longer if you'd like. Before we do continue, I did want to reiterate what I put in an email yesterday about our half-day session. And actually, Carl, I'd love to get you in on the loop on this one. We're going to do a half-day in-person session to actually go through this value stream. And it looks like it's November 11th or November 18th. So Carl, if you had one or other of those dates available in the afternoon, I'd swing the decision to the one you had available.
Yeah, I think for now it's the 18th, but I'll let you know, Jeff.
Okay. All right. So
just FYI, from a timekeeping perspective, I do have a hard stop if I have to drive to a client. That's fine. I can continue supporting the team. All right. So we'll try to pin that down by the end of the day. So just to everybody, those look like the two calendar dates, and right now it does look like Hartford will be the potential venue. So
before Frank leaves, real quick, to Brian's point, do you with your understanding of what our the larger group is doing, does the process that we're discussing end at the introduction?
So I want to suggest something, and this is just, we're in the early phases of this, but at least at this point, prior to our half-day session, keeping the scope wider rather than narrower opens up more opportunity to find waste.
Okay,
So that would be my recommendation.
I'll go with
Okay,
that.
Charles, I know you dropped off and kind of missed it, but I'd certainly love to get some of your input before we wrap up.
Yeah, I agree with that. It doesn't really make sense to me to stop at the introduction. We have to go a little bit past that because the implementation is really what we're talking about here. If we're not focused on the implementation and actually using the technology, then I don't really know what all this is for, you know. So to me, at least initially, we should look at where starting from when people realize that they have a need to implementing whatever solution or solutions they decide to adopt.
And can I just also jump in on that there's one of the big value adds is actually the shepherding through this. A lot of the, SMM businesses, we don't have the personnel to actually be the project manager of these things. And that is a huge value add if someone from the outside is facilitating, keeping everyone on task, like your traditional project manager. I actually paid for that for one of my projects, and we don't pay anybody on the outside for anything. So that's a big value add.
I
Well, that's the
agree.
thing, it's not really always as simple as I need this, I get introduced to UConn, done. It's
Right.
There's so many different things. There's project management, there's funding, there's training, there's the procurement. So I think we have to keep that in mind. That whole process is what we're looking for to get to the actual adoption phase and implementation. So I think it's really important to keep all of that in mind as we're going through this process now.
Exactly.
Folks, it was nice to meet you all. I'm going to dive off, but I will see you in a couple of weeks.
And Ginger, is everybody going to come back here? Thank you, Frank. You can jump off. Is everybody going to come back here for the wrap up? So do we need to wrap up anyways?
I'm pretty sure Jackie said that we weren't going to come back together.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So no, we are coming back together. So folks, I do apologize. The kind of steering committee meets after the 12 o'clock. But your input was great. We will continue it, and we'll utilize the next, we have at least one more hour session before the 11th. And so we'll utilize that to prep for the 11th or the 18th. All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
You
Hope to see
too.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
So Ginger, I think you can turn off recording, and excellent.